Greetings. This is Steve Muhammad with National Network View, the Al Asa Report, current events with commentary on the time and what must be done. This evening, we have the honor and privilege to welcome back our great brother Ilia Rashad. For those of you in our viewing audience who are unfamiliar with our brother, he is part of the research, NOI research team. He is an author. He puts out excellent videos on his own YouTube channel, which you must check out. He's a beekeeper and he's a family man. I want to welcome once again my brother and the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum assalam, brother Stephen, and thank you once again for having me on your show. You know I'm always excited, big brother.
Oh man, it is an honor. It is an honor, and we're always happy to have you on here, especially to talk today about something of significance. This September the 18th and yesterday marked the 35th anniversary of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's vision, more than a vision-like experience at Tepoztlan, a small town in Mexico, September the 17th, 1985. Can you go into a little bit about that experience, and then we'll go into our discussion?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is an experience that occurred involving the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, again on September 17th, 1985, an experience that will go down both in history and as well as prophecy, because it is the fulfillment of so many of the prophecies that we read about in the scriptures. For all the scriptures prophesy and speak of God, his angels, and some of his messengers operating from and traveling on some type of flying heavenly vehicle or vessel. Well, we recognize that the Nation of Islam clearly, specifically, and practically fulfills these scriptures that people have been believing, reading about, hooping and shouting about for all of these years. And so the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on September 17th, 1985, fulfilled another aspect of these messianic prophecies. Whereas he, in the midst of a very heated controversy with the most powerful entities in the white dominant world, the U.S. government, its various agencies, private groups, including several Jewish leaders and organizations who wield tremendous influence and power in several industries, including media, politics, and finance. But amidst the heated controversy with these powerful people aimed against him, he took his wife and others to Tepoztlan, Mexico, a little town where he would sometimes visit, especially to clear his mind and be able to meditate and pray. And so while in Tepoztlan, one evening, overnight, the minister explains that he, in a vision-like experience, the very essence of him was taken while he was climbing a mountain that he's climbed several times at night. And while he was climbing this mountain, one of these small baby planes or wheel-like planes that they call UFOs hovered near the mountain. And as he came upon the mountain, he was summoned to this wheel. And to try to make a long story short, he was taken aboard this smaller wheel. And from this smaller wheel, he was taken to the larger mother wheel that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught us so much about. A huge plane, a half a mile by a half a mile, that is the fulfillment of what you read about in the scriptures of Ezekiel's will, or this New Jerusalem, the city of the living God. All of those scriptures point to exactly what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam brought to the modern world. So Minister Farrakhan, while aboard this wheel, literally heard from and was given direct instructions from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, a man whom the entire world believed died February 25th, 1975, 10 years prior. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad aboard this wheels calls his servant, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, up and shares with him explicit information concerning the president, who happened to be Ronald Reagan at the time, and how the president had secretly met with the Joint Chiefs of Staffs to plan a war that Minister Farrakhan understood at the time to be against the Muslim world and Black people, but ultimately a war against Black Muslims, the Nation of Islam. And so the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, upon giving him instructions and sharing with him very knowledge that no one else could possibly have, told Minister Farrakhan to hold a press conference. And when he holds this press conference in Washington, D.C., to tell the world that he got it from me, Elijah Muhammad, on the wheel.
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes,
if this
sir.
is strange to anyone, it should not be.
Right.
Whether you accept
Right.
it or not, the fact is Minister Farrakhan has consistently and publicly shared his experience on this wheel. He's shared his direct connection to the power of that wheel, which is the power of Almighty God, Allah himself, who appeared in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, who is accompanied by his servant, the now exalted Christ, as we say, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, on that wheel. Now, again, Minister Farrakhan has publicly and consistently shared this experience with the world, and it amazes me to this day, as a follower and student of his, as one who is a helper, and as one who is blessed to feed from his divine wisdom quite frequently. It amazes me and any other sane thinker as to why his staunchest critics, who are very powerful, very seldom, if ever, even bring up his connection to these wheels, or so-called UFOs. And I think any sane person should question that scenario themselves.
Absolutely. That's a good point. I mean, here, if they wanted to discredit the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan with all that he says, one of the things, of course, that they could pull out would be these as they call them, UFOs, or unidentified flying objects, but they never go there. They never touch that third rail, as they say.
That's right.
One of the reports that titled Unidentified Flying Objects Over America, it says that in this report, 18-year veteran Navy pilot gave details of him and his flight crew encounter with one of these flying objects. Have you heard that report?
You know what? That report is perhaps consistent with countless hundreds of other in the military, particularly the Navy and the Air Force, because over the last decade or more, so many military servicemen, mostly retired, have come forth to acknowledge how these wheels, these disc-shaped objects, have been encountering, interfering with, and exhibiting their superior power over the world, particularly America's nuclear weapon sites, naval bases, Air Force bases, missile silos, missile testing sites, nuclear weapons programs. These wheels, in fact, I think I have a slide that speaks to some of that.
Yes, sir.
You know, and this is from 2010. It says that hundreds of military airmen have come forth, declassified U.S. government documents. This is according to Mr. Robert Hastings, who led a group of hundreds of military servicemen who have come forth about their frequent encounters with these wheels. And he stated, on behalf of these hundreds of other military airmen, he said that declassified U.S. government documents and the testimony of more than 120 former or retired military personnel, and that number has gone up by now, have established beyond doubt the reality of ongoing UFO incursions at American nuclear weapons sites. While most of the incidents apparently involve mere surveillance, in a few cases, a significant number of nuclear missiles suddenly and simultaneously malfunctioned, just as USAF security policemen reported seeing these disc-shaped craft hovering nearby. So these reports are commonplace among military personnel. And as one who's been researching this subject, these reports go back as far as the 40s. Practically every nuclear weapon sites and military base has had encounters with these wheels, where some of these baby planes or wheels would be seen nearby. And just as the wheels are seen nearby, either their whole communication system may malfunction or shut down completely. There have been cases where they've been testing missiles, and while they were testing these missiles, some of a baby plane would come and literally dismantle these nuclear test missiles within fractions of a second. And the military film, they would have to slow them down to watch exactly what these wheels did. So they are amazed. And what the common principle involved in all of these sightings is the fact that there is clearly a far superior power that is in the world, which is exhibited by these wheel-shaped planes. They've shown themselves to the military powers of America and the world. They've shown themselves and shown their superiority to government agencies and personnels of America and throughout the world, to make it increasingly clear, undoubtedly clear, that there is a superior power in the world. And some in the higher echelons of government know that Minister Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam represent that power. So the reason that this whole UFO thing is considered above top secret by government, the reason why there is an international multi-agency UFO cover-up is to hide the truth from our people that God is in the world, and that Elijah Muhammad met that God who showed him and acquainted him with these powers called the wheel, or these so-called UFOs.
Yes, sir. And you know, real quick, I just saw a map yesterday, and it was talking about the you know how they have the dots on the maps, and how the larger dots represent the most views. And so for these UFOs, these unidentified flying objects that this world calls them, these dots were coincidentally, if you believe in coincidence, but if you believe in a God, you don't, they were over where the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan resides.
That's correct. Some of the large number of cases have taken place in America anyway. We see where tremendous sightings take place in, ironically, both of the main national residencies of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam's leadership, that being the Chicago, Michigan area, as well as the Phoenix area toward the West Coast. And there are countless sightings, in America and in these places. And again, it's no secret, it's no hocus pocus, it's no magic. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who claims to have met God in person, had actually solved the UFO phenomena before it ever even became a phenomena. He answered the questions about these planes before there were ever any questions about them. He identified this phenomena before they were even classified as unidentified flying objects. He told the world exactly what they are, where they come from, who made them, who's responsible for them, what they can do, what they will do, and what we see in all of these credible reports and encounters is the confirmation of everything the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught. And we would be dumb as hell to try to just ignore that.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Now, the next question is that there any significant and verifiable sightings of UFOs that you have that you can share with our viewing audience that you are privy of, referring to this week's report of pilot David Fravor? I believe that's his name.
Is that the one? Is that the one you were referring to earlier?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
I'm not familiar necessarily with that name, but again, I promise you, if you look at the reports, and of course, I'm one who tries to stay abreast on many of the reports. Some of them are hoaxes, some of them are extremely credible, especially when you see these reports coming from people whose livelihood requires them to be pilots who are in the air, NASA astronauts and military personnel who fly and travel and monitor the heavens, if you will.
Right.
So that those type of reports are consistent. In the last 3 years, especially, there have been numerous reports, if anybody's been keeping up, where Navy pilots especially have come forth because they have complained, and I think I have some headlines, because they have complained over their lack of ability to report the daily sightings that they encounter each day.
Right.
So these Navy and Air Force pilots who see these wheels regularly, they have become disappointed and dissatisfied over the fact that their superiors in government are not giving them any type of satisfactory explanations. Now, these people are witnessing clearly superior crafts of a clearly superior intelligence and power, and they are frightened as hell. So when they try to report this and they get the footage and even show it to their superiors, all they're told is to just basically hush. Don't say anything about it. Well, the pilots they're having enough. So they have come forth and they've taken this thing all the way to the Congress, to the Senate, and to the Pentagon. And this is why for the last few years, maybe 2 to 3 years, you've witnessed where the Pentagon has recently admitted that they have been studying UFOs for several decades using taxpayer dollars. I mean, we who follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, I mean, we already knew this,
Right.
But they've admitted to the public that they have been studying and monitoring and trying to find out about the reality of these vastly superior aircraft that they would just assume is from another world because they don't know or believe that there's a power greater than the white man. You see?
Right.
So these pilots and air servicemen have come forth. They've taken it to the Senate. It's taken it to the Pentagon, where it's become beyond national security. It's always been the utmost priority in government and military concerns. You know,
Right.
There's
there,
a. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I remember reading a book talking about this being above top secret, and so and the next question was going to be that in part 51 of the will, Allah's calling card by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the monumental address, earlier part of his lecture, he references a significant report based on National Geographic poll in 2012 that said that 36% of Americans, about 80 million people, believe that UFOs exist, and that 10% of them believe they have spotted one. So, you have these reports by your average individuals, you have them by the Navy. Why won't they release these reports?
Again, because the big secret that would be damning for the white world power structure is to let the secret get out that a real God who has much more power than anything in this world is present, just as the scriptures and prophecies said he would come and appear, and what he would be accompanied with, which is his New Jerusalem, or this wheel, as Ezekiel saw. If the truth that this power is in the world, and it is a power far greater than our oppressors, for black people to know that would be damning to the white world supremacy. Right. So this is inherently why this is a global secret, why it is considered above top secret. Now, it's one thing to just have a secret, right? And militaries have secrets. That's part of military strategy, And then there's one thing to have what's considered top secret. That's when you really get to some intelligence that is privy, and only a select few need to know. But we're talking about a subject that governments have classified as beyond or above top secret.
Right.
You see? And here you have the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam showing and proving what the secret is. So again, we would be, honestly, and I hate to say it so brashly, but we would be dumb as hell to try to ignore this. And here's why. Here's why this subject is of utmost importance. If, being that the world's most powerful governments and militaries have spent decades, countless billions, perhaps trillions of dollars, trying to monitor and figure out, and in some cases trying to foolishly attack this clearly superior power that is in the world, because it shows that there is a power far greater than the white world power structure, it would behoove any person, especially black people, who have suffered at the hands of the world's sociopathic oppressor. It would behoove any person seeking freedom, justice, and equality, especially among our people who've been most deprived of it all. We should be the first ones to look for a power that is greater than the power of our oppressors. And being that your oppressors have admitted and proven that this power is in the world and that it is far greater than their power, you should be jumping up and down for joy, doing everything you can to try to find out about this reality. Right. Your enemy has tried to make it above top secret. Your enemy is a liar and has tried to hide everything about it from you, from us. Well, we have somebody who can give us clear proof and evidence, not just some belief, not just, okay, I believe in God. We're not talking about that kind of stuff. We're
Right.
talking about tangible, practical, logical proof of the superior God in the world. But to ignore that would be outright negligent, y'all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, did you want to go a little bit into your slides, or I could go into some more questions?
Oh, you can go into the questions. I just have some slides here, which
Okay.
happen to be, different slides from different scenarios. But please
All
go.
right, then. Yes, sir. Well, recently there was an astronomy and science news report that created a buzz earlier this week regarding the planet Venus, the presence of phosphine gas in the atmosphere of Venus, which called into question once again whether or not life exists there or on other planets. And as I know, you did an excellent interview with some white gentlemen on that, and they talked a little bit too about life on other planets. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, certainly. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Again, I have to keep it referencing. This is a man who claims to have been taught by the Lord of the worlds, by God in person.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you believe it or not, if it sounds outlandish, I think it would behoove anybody to at least listen to what the man has to say and examine what the man says. If a man says that he's been taught by God, and then this man does what no other black leader or any leader has been able to do and produce, to ignore that in and of itself would be pretty negligent and dumb.
Right.
But there's a man that claims to be taught by God, and this God, as the Holy Quran shares with us, and I think I can pull it to this particular slide. In the Holy Quran, God lets us know who he is and who his true messenger is, because Allah chooses a particular messenger, and when he chooses this special messenger, he shares with him his secrets. He shares with this messenger the secrets of God. And so in the beginning, these secrets may sound crazy as hell at first, but the proof and evidence of God's truth and his presence and his messenger would be in whether or not what God revealed to this particular messenger yields itself true or not. Well, we say that God came in the person of Master Father Muhammad, and that God taught Elijah Muhammad, and he taught him of these secrets that were not known in the world, that were certainly not known to the general public. Among those secrets involve things like the true origin of humanity, the origin of the different races. It involved astronomical truths. It involved the revelation and truth about this real world plane called the mother plane or mother wheel that has totally proven itself to be true. These secrets also involve astronomical truths about the planets. He taught of the planet, the weight of the planet, the geography of the planets to its specificity.
Right.
In the early 1930s, that he was given from God. And if we do an examination even of the atlases prior to the coming of Master Father Muhammad, we see where the calculations of the mountain ranges, the seas, the oceans, the earth, its distance from the sun, all of those calculations become closer and closer and closer to what Master Father Muhammad revealed to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This involves even the truth, scientific truths concerning the planets. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that there is life on pretty much all of these planets, most of the planets in our solar system. And he gave some details of as to the type of life. He talked about the people of Mars, you know, people of Mars who have the ability to, in words, deflect light, and you won't even be able to see them, almost like a camouflage, so to speak.
Right.
But they are people. He did speak about there being life on other planets. Now, we don't know all the details as to whether that life is humanoid type life, or if that life is microbial, you know, bacterial life. But he spoke that there is life nonetheless on most of these planets. And what we find is that the astronomers who have contraptions and devices that are reaching some of these planets like Mars are yielding and coming closer to the conclusion that Allah had already revealed to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And the more they keep looking, the more they will find that.
Right. And then you of course make the glaring point that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad had no more than a 4th grade education, so he couldn't have made this up. And then, as you're saying, the scientists are becoming closer and closer to the actual facts that he taught us.
And his numbers, his teachings has remained the same. And we notice how the scientists are coming closer and closer to his exactness.
Yes.
Another example would also include the fact that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who was taught by God, said that the moon, which is Earth's satellite, that several trillion years ago. Now that should raise antennas right there. Absolutely. Because most theorists have asserted that, Earth is only some billions of years old.
Right.
And some assert that this universe is only billions of years old. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has proven already that he was taught by a superior teacher, which is also evidenced in the reality of these wheels. But he taught that the moon, he taught about how it was formed and its origin, and how the moon's origin is actually from this earth. But several trillion years ago, due to an explosion that took place from this earth, a major cataclysmic explosion that took place, it rendered part of the earth into the orbit of what is now called the moon. Right. And so the moon, its composition is basically everything of the earth just being devoid of water. It's basically almost like a big big pile of ash formed in its atmosphere that has become the Earth satellite. Well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was taught these things in the 30s, but would you believe that up until not until the late 70s, early 80s, it has now become the leading, hear me clearly now, the leading theory among astronomers that the moon's origin is from the earth, and that somehow several billion years ago, they say, some type of cataclysmic explosion took place and it formed what we now call moon, which is the Earth satellite. Now, that is the leading theory among astronomical scientists. Where the hell they get that from?
Right.
These are evidences. These are proofs that the knower of the unseen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, makes his secrets known to none except the messenger whom he chooses. And you can see the truth of who his messenger is. You can see the truth of who Allah is by the fact that the secrets he revealed to his messenger have rendered themselves true. Truth even in the scientific world.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so could you please tell us what year the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad began teaching on the so-called UFOs, their significance what they represent, and how knowledge has always been an integral part of the theology and or teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam.
As with everything he was taught by God, as with everything he was instructed to by God, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't waste any time in moving out on what he was taught.
Right.
Prime example is the reality of what became Muhammad University of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
He was given directives by Master Fard Muhammad to teach our own. He didn't waste time. He started immediately, took his children out of the school, took other children out of the enemy's public school where they were being fed this dogmatic form of white supremacy. And he paved the way for private schooling. The Nation of Islam did for a private independent schooling for black children. That was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad moving out immediately on the directives and teachings and secrets given to him by Almighty God Allah in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. It was the same way when Allah showed him the reality of this huge wheel-shaped plane. It wasn't until September 22nd, which we're approaching, of 1931, that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad met his teacher, Master Fard Muhammad. And it was shortly after their meeting that he began teaching the Honorable Elijah Muhammad right away, almost night and day for about 3.5 years, up until he left, up until Master Fard Muhammad left. And so early in this teaching, in this relationship, Master Fard Muhammad literally summoned his wheel so that he can show it to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He literally showed him physically, not some proof, not some, teaching. I'm just telling you about it. Not some I'm showing you in the scriptures alone. No, he literally brought the wheel and pointed it out to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which began the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's firsthand knowledge of the wheel and the 1,500 accompanying baby planes, which are also shaped like wheels or circular disc-shaped objects that are now called UFOs by those who don't know what they are. And it was early after their teaching, after the Honorable Master Fard Muhammad showed this to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that he began teaching on it. And you'll find other authors, even like the Jewish professor, Michael Lee, in his book and in some of his writings, his academic writings, taught how Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam represent the capstone of this mother wheel UFO teaching. Here's a Jewish scholar and professor who recognizes that the Nation of Islam is inherently responsible for bringing this truth to the modern world. And I thank Professor Lee because he is one of few, I can barely even think of any other scholars and UFO researchers who has been bold enough to publicly acknowledge that.
Right.
Now, everybody knows it, well, I'm not going to say everybody, but several UFO researchers know this. Hell, you can't consider yourself a UFO researcher if you don't know the fact that the Nation of Islam introduced this to the world. If you overlook that, then you're not worth your salt.
That's right.
As a so-called UFO researcher. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was given firsthand knowledge of these things, and he began teaching on it from the outset of his ministry and career. In fact, later on in the 70s, in the Theology of Time lecture series, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad spoke of his relationship with some of these scientists who operate these wheels. He knew them personally. And notice how we use the term scientist for those who may not be familiar with this terminology.
Right.
These scientists are what the scriptures refer to as angels. Nothing spooky. They're not some Cupid people with wings on their backs floating around the way Hollywood would have you believe.
Right.
But they are human beings like you and me who happen to be taught under a different tutelage. These are people who have been taught and reared and trained under the direct tutelage of Allah in person. So naturally, they have certain capabilities and functions and just overall abilities that most of us have not, tapped into yet.
Right.
We have the potential to, but we've not tapped into that aspect of our abilities yet. And they are scientists. They are people, not magicians. They're people, but because of their keen wisdom and training, they are able to do things like tuning in, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad described. Tuning in is the ability to tune literally into the thinking of other people.
Right.
And these scientists of what some would call telepathy and telekinesis, these scientists know how to calculate the thought in your head before you even reach the thought. So they are, ages advanced, far more advanced than we are, and much more advanced than the intelligence of this world. And this is confirmed in so many of these sightings and encounters, and even abduction cases where people who've been abducted have talked about how the people aboard these wheels have communicated with them telepathically without moving their lips. And even in the military reports where their weaponry and communication systems have been shut down remotely. See, this was done by those scientists on the wheels. They're highly advanced and so many steps ahead of, the intelligence of this world.
Yes, sir. And we got a question from the audience, and it wanted to ask about the scripture in the Bible that bears witness to September the 17th.
Actually, there's several scriptures in the Bible, but I think they may be referring to this scripture that I'd like to come to. And that would be the scripture of Ezekiel, the 8th chapter of Ezekiel. And in some of the cities that I've been blessed to present on this subject, some of those cities I highlighted this scripture, because remember, the vision-like experience of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan aboard the wheel took place on September 17th, 1985, where he was taken aboard the wheel. He shared his experience with the world on several occasions. It's hard to even think of a national occasion where the minister has not told the world about his connection to these wheels. But that took place on September 17th, 1985. And so there are some scriptures that we've noticed of God's messengers being taken up in the spirit in a pretty much a vision-like experience. And here's one from Ezekiel, the 8th chapter, around verses 1 through 3. It talks about this servant of God being taken up. And it says that, and it came to pass in the 6th year, in the 6th month, and it was during that time that the Spirit lifted me up between the earth and the heaven and brought me in the visions of God to Jerusalem, as in that New Jerusalem, to the door of the inner gate. Here's a servant of God being taken up in an experience to literally come within the inner sanctum of God on some heavenly Jerusalem. You see? So this is a scripture that's eerily synonymous with Minister Farrakhan's vision-like experience. But it wasn't until 11 years after his 1985 September 11th experience that Bible scholars of the New Living Translation put out their translation of the Bible. And it was this translation of the Bible where the scholars sought to give more definite and accurate calculations of some of the dates and times that the previous scriptures read, like in the King James Version, when it read in the 6th year and in the 6th month and all of this type of stuff. Well, the New Living Translation Bible scholars, in their calculations of that scripture, it turned out that it read then on September 17th. It's when this episode would take place. Then the Spirit lifted me up into the sky and transported me to Jerusalem in a vision from God. Now, you can't make this stuff up.
No, absolutely not.
The Bible scholars of the New Living Translation didn't come looking for Minister Farrakhan, trying to corroborate his experience with something they were trying to put in there.
Right.
A Christian, primarily Christian, and I think Christian and Jewish, Judeo-Christian theologians who put that in there. And this is 11 years after the minister's experience. So I do not think that it is a coincidence that this scriptural prophecy takes place on September 17th, offering even more confirmation that Minister Farrakhan is fulfilling these prophecies. And I have to say something about what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught and what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches concerning the misunderstanding in religion. The religious world, be it Islam, Christianity, Judaism, your major faith traditions have really fallen backwards in their understanding of the scripture because we have looked at the scriptures thinking that we're reading history. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad makes the clear distinction that there is a difference between history and prophecy. And he showed and proved that most of what you read in the scriptures, approximately 75%, is actually prophecy. And only 25% or so is actual history. And even in the history that we read, that is history, and that is still some sign for us today. So these scriptures are not just there by happenstance. These are prophecies. And the religious world has been deceived, unfortunately, because we've been thinking we're reading history and missing all the clear and present prophecies being fulfilled right in plain sight.
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
We're proof of that. Well, I'll let you ask your next question.
Oh, no, you go right ahead. I was just going to say that, when you talk about the religious community, once again, you have so many scriptures that are in the Bible, especially that talk about this wheel and these baby planes, the whirlwind, as you say, cloud by day, or cloud by day, pillar of fire by night. Can you go into a few more of those descriptions of the wheel in the scriptures?
Certainly. In fact, all of the scriptures, Bible, Old Testament, Torah, New Testament, Gospel, the Holy Quran, all of your scriptures represent God in the manner that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught. And it is amazingly ironic, to say the least, that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam, and I'll say this very boldly, offers the most congruent representation of God that is congruent with the scriptures. But yet, the scriptures all throughout it depict and describe God with these humanly features as a man, as a human, but hardly anybody in religion represents a God that actually appears in human form. That is a human man God. You see, either the religious world is totally backwards and has deviated from the scriptures they claim to believe in, or the scriptures are wrong. Mm-hmm. And everybody with these religious beliefs must be right or something. You see, so it should not surprise us to see that what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught is directly congruent and aligned with the scriptures and the prophecies thereof.
Right.
So he represents a God who appeared in person. All your scriptures speak of a God in person. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a whole nother subject for another time. Right, but they also depict God operating from a heavenly vessel, a vessel or some type of vehicle that flies in the sky.
Yes, sir.
Genesis to Revelation.
Yes, sir. And we just have just two more questions, and then we'll close it on out. Once again, we're here with our beautiful brother Ilia Rashad. And before we go to the next, the last two questions, tell us how we can contact you, how we can purchase some of the materials that you have, books, DVDs, and so forth.
Certainly. Well, one of the easiest ways to contact me is through our website. Our website is nationbrothers.com. Nationbrothers.com. And we do have our books and resources available through our website. I guess the one most relevant to this topic would be our book, UFOs and the Nation of Islam, the book that literally has changed the game of UFO research. We, on behalf of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, and really on behalf of the Nation of Islam, have compiled and put forth research that challenges the scholarship of the world, that debunks the theories, that demystifies the reality of these planes by offering clear proof and evidence. So our book, UFOs and the Nation of Islam, and our subtitle is The Source, Proof, and Reality of the Wheels. I don't think any reasonable thinking person would be able to examine the research we've been blessed to compile and walk away in disbelief.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
You would feel real stupid. It would take more cognitive energy to try to disbelieve in the plain truth and evidence we present than to disbelieve in it. So we encourage you to partake of what Allah has blessed us to present and compiled and publish on behalf of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. And we trust that you'll find tremendous benefit in reading what we have to offer.
Yes, sir. Now, one of the things of giving hope to those who might be viewing is that we have this great extinction. I think they call it the sixth great extinction. We have the pollution of the oceans. We have people who are in ill health because of the chemicals that are in the food. Can you talk about this mother plane? And it has these two functions, one of life, one of death, but we want to talk about, if you can talk about the one of life.
Yes. And Lord knows that's needed. And that's another reason why our people and anyone seeking true freedom, justice, and equality should be flying, not just running, but flying to this truth being expressed by the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, because he is backed by a real God in the real world who is evidenced by these real planes that are superior. And this superior technology on this wheel, it is described as a New Jerusalem in the book of Revelation and in the book of Galatians, the city of the living God. On that wheel, while it does represent a warship on one sense, that will bring down the destruction of this current satanic world, it also will usher in the new world of peace, freedom, justice, equality, and healing. There is no disease, there is no problem that this world faces where the solution is not already available on that wheel. This is why Jesus urged us to pray on this wise, where he said, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. See, that's a type of heaven. That is an aspect of heaven on that wheel. Right. It's the city of the living God. So the scientists, there's a new civilization on that wheel. There is new life. So teaches the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. And that life, the goodness, the purity, the healing in its fullness will not be manifested here on earth until the destruction of Satan's world. And what we are witnessing right now is the destruction of Satan's world. We are in those stages right now. Cannot a fool who is paying attention to what's going on in the world, cannot a fool see that a change is taking place in every living thing, every living creature, every nation? We have wildfires on the West Coast, floods in the Southeast, snow in the Northeast, famine approaching. I mean, this thing is crazy. 2020, is just the beginning. But what you are witnessing is the fall of Satan's world. This world of white supremacy was not going to be brought down by the little guns you may think you have. No, there's another power. Yeah. That's that power the Honorable Minister Farrakhan mentioned on July 4th and his criterion message, a power of God who actually sent down a pestilence from heaven as a result of the corruption of this world and this world's disobedience. So ultimately, the God is behind this so-called pandemic. But ultimately, this world has to be brought down in order for the purity, the life, the healing, and the fullness of the good that's on that wheel will be brought down on this earth. And when it is manifested on this earth, that's when you will see peace forevermore.
Yes, sir. See, now that's good. That's good to close this on out with right there, because there's absolutely hope, in the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It's a great and a dreadful day, great for us and dreadful for the enemy. So closing out, are there any last words that you would like to share with us before we close out?
Oh, brother, as always, I just want to thank you and the staff at NNV. I told you last time that this thing is going to replace CNN. Yes. This is a new independent Black news network. And I know and believe that Allah will bless you and bless us. So I'm just thankful for the opportunity and look forward to coming back, big brother.
Absolutely. You're always welcome. You're always welcome. So thank you, my brother. On behalf of NNV, we would like to thank you for your wisdom and incredible research on the topic. And may Allah continue to bless you in the great work that you do. So for those who are watching, I would like to thank you for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Steve Muhammad with the Al-Aqsa Report, and I want to leave you in the greeting words of peace.